My neighbor asked me to feed her dog, but she doesn't own a dog. I saw something move inside her walls. And last night, it followed me home. It started on a Thursday. Completely ordinary. The kind of day that disappears the moment it ends. I had just gotten home from work, kicked off my shoes, and was halfway through reheating leftover pasta when there was a knock at my door. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Dalloway. She lived across the hall. Late 60s, always polite, always smelled faintly of lavender. We'd exchanged maybe 5 full conversations in the 2 years I'd lived there. She looked anxious. "Could you do me a favor?" she asked. "I need to visit my sister overnight. Would you mind feeding my dog?" I remember hesitating. Not because I dislike dogs, but because I'd never seen one. Our building had thin walls and even thinner patience for pets. I would have heard barking. Scratching. Something. "I didn't know you had a dog," I said, smiling. She paused for just a second too long. "He's very quiet." That was her answer. She handed me a key and a small plastic container filled with brown kibble. "Just once tonight. And once tomorrow morning. He's shy, so he may not come out. Just leave the food in the kitchen." Her fingers were cold when they brushed mine. I should have asked more questions. Instead, I said yes. Around 8 that night, I walked across the hall. Her door looked the same as always. The hallway lights flickered the way they always did. Nothing felt wrong. Until I unlocked the door. The air inside was stale. Not dirty. Just unmoving. Like the windows hadn't been opened in years. "Hello?" I called out, stepping in. Silence. No clicking nails on hardwood. No panting. No movement at all. I closed the door behind me and walked into the kitchen. It was spotless. Counters wiped down. Sink dry. No dog bowls. That's when I noticed something strange. There were no signs of a dog anywhere. No leash by the door. No toys. No water dish. No dog bed. I stood there holding the container of kibble, listening. That was when I heard it. A slow, deliberate scrape. Not from the floor. From the wall. It came from somewhere deeper in the apartment. A dragging sound. Like something shifting its weight against drywall. "Hey, buddy," I said, my voice sounding smaller than I intended. The scraping stopped. Then came 3 soft knocks. From inside the wall. I told myself it was pipes. Old buildings make noise. Heating systems knock. Wood expands. Normal explanations lined up neatly in my head. But then something pressed outward from the wallpaper. I watched it happen. A bulge formed between 2 studs, about the size of a small animal's head. The floral pattern stretched, distorted, and for just a moment, I could see the outline of something that resembled a snout. It held there. As if sniffing. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then it slowly receded back into the wall. The scraping resumed, traveling sideways, following me. I dropped the kibble on the counter and backed toward the door. That's when I noticed something else. There was only one door in the apartment. The bedroom door I had seen every day walking past her place, wasn't there. Just a flat wall where it should have been. The scraping sound moved behind me. Closer. I fumbled for the handle, yanked the door open, and practically fell into the hallway. The scraping stopped the second I crossed the threshold. I stood there, heart hammering, staring at her closed apartment door. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was tired. Maybe something hit the inside of the door. Hard. Once. Then silence. I locked it quickly and went back to my apartment. I didn't sleep that night. Around 3 in the morning, I heard scratching. Not from across the hall. From my front door. Slow. Patient. And accompanied by a soft, rhythmic breathing. That was when I realized something I should have understood hours earlier. Mrs. Dalloway didn't have a dog. And whatever was in her walls now knew where I lived. I didn't open the door. Every instinct in me screamed to pretend I was asleep. To let whatever was out there get bored and leave. The scratching continued. Slow. Deliberate. Nails against wood. Then it stopped. The silence that followed was worse. I crept toward the door and looked through the peephole. The hallway was empty. But the hallway light was swaying slightly, as if something large had just brushed past it. I didn't sleep at all. By morning, I convinced myself it had to be stress. Imagination. An old building playing tricks on a tired mind. So I did something incredibly stupid. I went across the hall again. Mrs. Dalloway's door was slightly open. That had never happened before. Hello? I called. No answer. I pushed the door wider and stepped inside. The apartment looked different. The kitchen counters were dusty now. The air heavier. The wallpaper in the hallway had small tears in it, long vertical splits like something had pushed outward repeatedly. There was still no sign of a dog. But there were scratches. Thin, parallel grooves carved into the baseboards, running along the perimeter of the apartment. All along the walls. As if something had been pacing inside them. I moved slowly down the hallway to where the bedroom door should have been. It was back. Closed. My stomach dropped. I know what I saw the night before. That door had not been there. The handle began to turn. Slowly. I stepped back. The door opened a few inches on its own. Darkness inside. Then a voice. Not a growl. Not a bark. Mrs. Dalloway's voice. You forgot his breakfast. It came from inside the room, but it didn't sound like it came from a throat. It sounded hollow. Like it was traveling through pipes. I left the food, I stammered. A soft scraping answered me. Closer this time. The bedroom door opened wider. I couldn't see the floor. I couldn't see furniture. I couldn't see walls. Just darkness. And then something shifted within it. A shape pressed against the inside of the doorway. Not stepping out. Just leaning. Testing the frame. The outline resembled a dog if you looked quickly. 4 legs. A head. But the proportions were wrong. The limbs too long. The back arched too high. The head tilted at an angle no animal could manage without breaking its neck. It took 1 step forward. Its paw, if that's what it was, didn't touch the ground. It touched the wall. And then it slid into it. Like liquid sinking into drywall. The scraping resumed, moving rapidly toward me through the hallway walls. I ran. I didn't look back. I slammed through her front door and into the hall, sprinted into my apartment, and locked every lock I had. I called the building manager. No answer. I called the police. They came. They checked her apartment. They told me it had been empty for months. Mrs. Dalloway had passed away in the hospital the previous winter. There was no furniture. No wallpaper. No bedroom door. Just bare walls. When I insisted she'd been there the day before, they looked at me the way people look at someone they're quietly deciding to pity. I moved out that week. I told myself distance would fix it. It almost did. Until last night. New apartment. Different building. Different city. 3 in the morning. A knock at my door. 3 soft knocks. Then a familiar voice through the wood. Could you feed my dog? And beneath it, faint but unmistakable scratching. From inside my walls.